going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here. We have a lot to discuss. It has been already a crazy week in the market, and it's already Monday here. We've had some pretty crazy price action across the board, some pretty interesting events and statements starting to be made as it relates to kind of this new trade dilemma that we have between the United States and China that we definitely need to talk about. And then, as always, we're going to be talking about some of your guys' favorite names here: NIO, Sofi, Palantir, and AMD, giving you guys, again, some of the most up-to-date and relevant pieces of news, and there are some pretty big pieces of news, and going over the charts in the short term here to give you guys a better understanding of what to expect next. So before we get into all of that information, guys, if you guys do enjoy the information and analysis that I provide for you guys in these videos here, make sure you go down and drop a like on this video here. Costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. Make sure you subscribe, follow, turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do end up getting posted live as well. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, massive shout out to all of the members of my private trading and investing community, Less Trades, More Profits. Now, I have told you guys time and time again that we are doing things in the market with this group here that the trading community, and quite honestly, the internet, has never seen before. Again, guys, I am probably at this point the most censored person in trading and finance and investing on social media right now. YouTube is trying to give me community guideline strikes. Instagram is basically suspending me, and the only thing that I have done is just showcase the results of the trade ideas that I have handed out to the group there. Again, you are never going to see anything like this ever again unless we start handing out these epic trades, which, again, these big, massive, multi-hundred and multi-thousand% trades are pretty common when the market does set up very well with the way that we trade. Now, again, if you guys are interested in coming in there with us and actually seeing what we're all about here, again, make sure you guys use code October with that link down below. It gets you 50% off your first month. It's literally only like $40 for you guys to join in there, and you guys can start learning how to operate in the market the correct way. So let's get into everything here, everybody. First things first, we do have a couple of new statements from Donald Trump here. I have a very good relationship with President Xi of China. We're having disputes on things he said on Air Force One. They're paying us a lot of money, tremendous amounts of money in tariffs, and they'd probably like it to be less, and we'll work on that, but they have to give up some things. I don't want them to play the rare earth game with us. And he also wants China to stop with the fentanyl. China, again, he wants them to buy soybeans. One of the things he wants China to do is to buy U.S. soybeans. Last year, China bought $12.6 billion worth of soybeans, but has recently turned to South American imports over the last year, and that is hitting U.S. farmers. Now, again, kind of this big statement made by Trump here. Trump says we can lower what China has to pay in tariffs, but China has to do a lot of other things for the United States in order for that to happen. Now, when we see these types of tone shifts out of this administration, that is obviously going to lead to more exuberance in the broad market here. We have the S&P 500 at the current time that I'm recording this up about 1.13%. We have gold over here ripping to new highs. Again, for those of you guys that have been following along on X, and also those of you guys in LTMP, this has been an absolutely awesome move for us from that 317-ish entry area that I gave you guys on the weekly time frame. Gold ripping to new highs. Bitcoin over here moving back to the upside today as well, up about 1.85%, as investors as a whole start to get a little bit more comfortable with what's going to play out over the next few weeks. But again, something that I have been saying a lot on the public live streams that I do every single day with you guys here, the private live streams with LTMP, within the LTMP group, in the pre-market plans that I send out every single day, is that this time in the market right now is not necessarily the time to be taking significant amounts of action here. A lot of amateur participants in the market, what they'll do is they'll see a lot of these big shocks happening into the market, and they think that that requires them, or it's forcing them to take a certain action, whether that to be long or whether that to start to maybe get net short. And the smartest thing, guys, most of the time to do is to sit there, do nothing, wait for the dust to settle, and then make sure you are operating in the market, again, with a very solid and statistically repeatable process. And in addition, making sure that you are taking the time to only be looking for those high quality A+ setups. So the first thing that I want to talk about with you guys here when we start to think about these individual names is NIO. Now, NIO, again, is a name that I gave out to everybody in LTMP at $4.55. That's where I own this one. I only own about 4,000 shares, so not a big position for me. And like I say all the time with this stock here, you can talk about all the different pieces of news happening every single day with these Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers. You can get nitty gritty into a lot of kind of the other pieces of news that are coming out on the periphery of what NIO is doing. But at the end of the day, what is actually going to drive them towards success and having the share price move to the upside is them being able to execute on the goals that they have outlined to their shareholders over the past few years here. And that is exactly what they are focusing in on a lot going into the end of this year here. Now, NIO's William Li reiterates Q4 profitability target at an internal meeting. Li told employees that the fourth quarter profitability target must be achieved and everyone should intensify their efforts. Li demanded that as many orders as possible be secured for each model to prepare for industry-wide demand weakness in the first quarter of next year here. So in addition to all of the cost-saving initiatives here, and then also having Onvo and Firefly to help NIO play the volume game in the electric vehicle space, you can see that they are taking these next couple of quarters very, very seriously, which is exactly what you want to see out of a management group that has been, quite honestly, struggling over the last few years here. Now again, if NIO can actually execute on their goals that they have outlined here, well, we could see NIO, again, break that weekly 200 EMA here at $8.73 and maybe go for some of these more aggressive targets up above us, above $10 here, $13.24, or even, this would be really great, if we got all the way back up to about $16.17, where NIO was trading in July of 2023. If they are able to continue to really deliver results in the marketplace here, this could easily be a name that can be a massive winner over the next few years. But again, with the potential of these massive winners here is obviously going to come with a little bit more risk. That's why I only own 4,000 shares of NIO. If it rips pretty aggressively, I'll make a decent amount of money. But if not, it really isn't going to change things for me at the end of the day. The next name that I want to talk about with you guys here is Sofi. This has been another one that has been an absolutely massive winner for not only the LTMP group, but also anybody that has been following along on this channel here on YouTube, or if you're watching this video on Rumble here, this might be a little bit new for everybody. But again, Sofi is one that I outlined for everybody at $6.55. As you can see here, this name is now trading at $28.75. I also handed out the weekly breakout for you guys completely free at $13.60 on Sofi here. Now, we do have earnings coming up for Sofi in the near future here, which is obviously going to give us a better picture into their current financial standing. But there are a couple of different ideas as to why Sofi is moving up about 8.3% at the current time that I'm recording this video right now today. So the first is this big Amazon Web Services outage that is affecting a lot of these different brokers. You saw Webull having significant amounts of issues, and you also saw Robinhood, which a lot of people kind of compare Sofi to, even though Sofi is targeting a little bit of a different market. Sofi and Robinhood get compared together a lot. Now, Sofi didn't really have any significant issues, but Robinhood did. Now, I don't necessarily kind of subscribe to that argument there, because even with all the problems that, again, Robinhood and a lot of these other brokers were having today, Robinhood is still up about 6% on the day, because quite honestly, the market knows, and all of us should know, that the issues that Robinhood was witnessing, or any of these other brokers were witnessing today, wasn't really of any fault of their own. Now, what I would say what we were seeing on Sofi today is really just the start of the pre-earnings run-up here as we start to get to the end of the month where Sofi is going to be reporting their earnings. And in addition to this, We also have a really strong weekly bullish setup here that, again, if SoFi can break above this $29.80 area, we could easily see SoFi continue into the mid-30s. Now, with earnings coming up so close, this is not a name that I would want to necessarily go for in the short term here, because you do have that increased level of implied volatility, and you really just end up going into a binary event with a one-directional position there, which I don't think is the smartest idea to do unless you can make a position completely risk-free going into that event. So again, maybe if SoFi is able to break out and get a nice push over that $30 area, maybe if you want to take a little bit of a risk here to make some contracts free for SoFi's earnings, that might be the smart way to do this here. But again, with a name that we are up so significantly on, really just over the last year and a half here, there really isn't anything new to do on this one in the short term here. It's not one that you would buy. It's not one that you would short. It's just one that we can sit back, relax, and continue to kind of manage and think about the thesis as to why we're in SoFi in the first place. Again, if that thesis is not broken, then there is nothing to do with that name in the short term here. Now, the next name that I want to talk about with you guys is Palantir. I just want to touch on this one briefly because, again, very similarly to SoFi, we are seeing a very, very powerful bullish weekly setup here. If you're able to break that 188.20 area, you can easily get a push over these all-time highs and potentially make some of these short-term positions free if that's what you want to do going into Palantir's earnings report coming up in the beginning of November. Now, is that the smartest thing to do? Not necessarily. It is going to come with a lot more risk. You're going to be paying a little bit more for these options due to the inflated levels of implied volatility as we are going into that earnings report here. But again, just like a lot of these other names here, guys, we've been all over these from the very beginning. I gave you guys Palantir at $15 a share. If you guys are still holding on to this one at $182, just like I said with SoFi, it's not one that you buy up here at these elevated and quite honestly extended valuation levels, but it's definitely not one that you would necessarily want to go out in the open market and short. Now, let's talk about another name here that we don't talk about all that much in these YouTube videos here, but this is one that always comes back time and time again when we are having our discussions on our live streams. So as many of you guys know, AMD was one of, if not the best investment that I have made in my career so far to this date. I own a bunch of AMD shares still with an average cost of $11.39. Again, the stock is currently trading at $240 a share, so this one just continuously makes me money pretty much every single year over the last couple of years here, and is now, again, I believe, the largest holding across all my portfolios, even though last year was the first time that I started trimming this position. I even sold some covered calls that expired in June. So again, my basis on this name here is negative, and it just continues to make me more and more money. And we are also receiving some very positive pieces of news surrounding AMD, again, after that OpenAI deal, going into AMD's earnings report at the beginning of November here. We have Bank of America raising AMD's price target to $300 a share, citing 11/11 as the next major catalyst. And then we have also HSBC lifting AMD's price target here to $310 a share on OpenAI deal visibility. This came out on October 18th here, and the interesting part about this is that on October 15th, HSBC analyst frankly raised his price target on the stock to $310 from $185 and reaffirmed his buy rating. That is a very, very significant price target increase, especially on a name like AMD. Now, it is possible that, again, if AMD delivers on their earnings here and they continue to get some of these more partnerships here and the kind of track for what they're going to be doing with OpenAI in the future becomes more apparent to shareholders and investors as a whole, we actually could see AMD at $300 in the near future here, which obviously for me, I would really like. But again, at this time right now, AMD is not necessarily one that I would think it is a great idea to go out in the open market and buy. It's another one of those names. It's not one that you buy. It's not one that you short. It's just one that you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the gains that we have all made. And especially those of you guys that are in LTMP that absolutely nailed that AMD move that I outlined for you guys leading up into that announcement of the OpenAI deal. You guys saw some of the gains from the group earlier in this video here. I mean, we had some crazy ones. I think 15,000%. The highest one that I saw was 26,000% on those AMD options there. Again, guys, the way that we operate with the less trades, more profits methodology, again, if there was anything else better in the market that we could be doing in order to be making ourselves money, that's what we would be doing, but there isn't, so we're going to keep sticking with that LTMP methodology there. So, guys, that is going to wrap up this video here. If you guys did enjoy the information and analysis that I provided for you guys in this one, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, make sure you guys are subscribed, make sure you guys are following along, and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos go live. But until next time, guys, I will see you. Peace.